I mean, like all the symptoms kind of go away.
Thing. What we
Okay,
want
we're
to do
getting
is
some feedback. I don't know if you can turn it off. But thank you, Karen, so much for your question. And now we're going to go to Adi. Do we have any questions on social media yet?
Yes, we do. All right. So we have Teresa from on Facebook, and she's asking, well, she doesn't like stevia, and what can she use to sweeten some things?
You know, that's a good question because I don't really like stevia in certain things too because it has a kind of a weird taste. You can do erythritol, but you need a lot more of that to sweeten things. So a lot of times that creates digestive issues. So I'm going to recommend a non-GMO xylitol. Use that because it tastes just like sugar, but it's a very low glycemic index. It's not 0, but it's like 30. But if you don't consume a lot of it, you're totally fine. Okay? All right, do we have another question?
Yes, we do. Again, on Facebook, we have Joe asking about gout.
Yeah. So the main thing, Joe, if you're doing keto, okay, intermittent fasting, what happens is you have two things. You have your ketones are acidic, so you know you may lead to more gout symptoms, and that you need to chill out that pH a little bit by taking lemon juice and also make sure your vegetables are high. Calcium, magnesium would help, but also potassium citrate. That's like the most important thing. I use that in my electrolyte powder, and that works good. But the other thing is when you do ketosis, you actually trigger more nitrogen, which then can increase more uric acid. So that's the connection, but that usually only happens in the transition phase. As you keep doing this, that should go away. But to counter the gout or the uric acid, you want to basically take potassium citrate. Okay? All right, do we got one more question?
Yes,
Okay.
again from Facebook. Yola is asking, is keto lifestyle acidic or alkaline?
Well, this is a good question. I'm just going to let you know, like there's a couple of videos I have on pH, and you almost have to kind of not worry about if something's acidic or alkaline because in your body, you know, well, first let me back up. Like people will tell you, oh, you need to alkalize your body. Like, really? Well, did you realize that your stomach is like severely acid between 1 and 3, and your large bowel is acidic? And so each part of your body has a different pH. So it's not true that we need to alkalize our body. What we just need to do is eat healthy so all the different pHs go in a normal state. So keto and intermittent fasting done correctly, like the way that I'm telling you, with a lot more vegetables, will be perfect for you. So it's not going to make you more acidic or more alkaline. It'll just feed the body what it needs to balance out your right pH. All right? Okay, so Kim, we are going to you. You're from New Orleans. You had a supplement question. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I have. I wanted to go through quickly into my medical background, and I'll tell you what supplements I take. I want to see what your suggestions are in changing them or keeping them the way they are.
Okay. And just one little point. A lot of times people will give me their whole history, so give me like a thumbnail sketch of what's going on so we can go to it. Yeah.
Okay. I had hepatitis A at age 14, hyperthyroidism at age 19, radioactive iodine 21, and then hypothyroidism 25, and I've been on Synthroid for 12 years now. It's been regulated. My recent blood work shows I'm low on vitamin D, sodium, and chloride, and my body type is definitely ovary stage 1. And I'm taking the ovary kit that you have in your website. And because I've had some issues with my liver, I want to know if there's anything else that you can suggest that I can do, or maybe the source of this thyroid problem. It has something to do with my liver. I also have ridged and thin nails that crack longitudinally.
Okay. Good question. I think here's what's going on. The big thing you need is more bile salts, because your bile salts help you absorb vitamin D. And because you had a history of hepatitis A, there's obviously some damage with the liver, so you're probably not producing enough bile salts. So you're probably going to benefit from taking some purified bile salts, and I recommend like a gallbladder formula. to actually increase that so you can start absorbing more vitamin D, which will then help you absorb the minerals necessary, especially calcium and magnesium, to handle the ridges in the nails. Because that's just a little indication that's going on systemically for the entire body. Now, I would also at the same time acidify your stomach with either apple cider vinegar powder or the betaine hydrochloride or a combination, because that's going to help you absorb more minerals too from the stomach level. And of course, if you're low on sodium and chloride, I would just take some sea salt. So I think that would be the quick answer, in addition to getting in the basics of what we talk about with keto and definitely intermittent fasting, because that's going to heal your liver ultimately. Thanks, Kim. All right, we're going to go to Susan from Florida. You're a little frustrated with your weight loss, right?
Yes.
What's happening?
I'm sick. Well, let me just give you a little bit about me. I'm 63 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried many diets through my life, yo-yoing up and down through the years. I have a 5'7" frame, which is medium to small. I carry my weight in my hips, my butt, and in my legs. I've been addicted to sugar, salt, bread, and pasta my whole life. In 2015, I went on a low glycal diet, which was based upon controlling insulin. I was not eating any sugar, flour, very low carbs, and I followed this diet and I lost 38 pounds. Now, flash forward to 2018, right before I started your diet, I had started cheating on sugar and introducing white flour and everything back in, and I gained, my weight went up to 175 pounds. So I'm now doing your program, and I have great willpower. I don't cheat on this. I've been doing it for 8 weeks. I even doing intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
My window is a 7-hour period.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the things that are happening. I have weird urine odor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not losing anything. There's no changes in my clothing or when I measure myself. I have ordered your gallbladder program. I've done. I also take your D3 with K2. I take vitamin C, omega-3s. I take iodine because the sea salt I use has no iodine in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also take 450 milligrams of magnesium.
Got it. I have a question for you. Do you find
Sure.
that if you get from a seated position, you're sitting down like on the couch and you get up, is it hard to get up from a seated position?
No.
Okay, so do you have pretty strong legs, or is it, or do you have some?
No,
loss in-
actually. Okay, so it's interesting that you asked that. I do have very bad varicose veins in one leg.
Okay. All right. So here's a couple tips, Susan. When you reach the age of menopause, things obviously kind of become more difficult because of the ratio of muscle to fat, especially if in the lower extremity. It sounds like you're able to get up from a seated position, so there's probably some strength there. And then now you're trying to lose the weight. What I'm going to recommend is to shift your goal for about 2 or 3 months and don't even look at your scale. What happens is, it's the whole philosophy that I talk about, you have to get healthy first. If you've been addicted to sugar, like I have as well, my whole life, and then you're coming back and, oh my gosh, that just shuts down the entire system. I mean, it really makes it difficult, especially with insulin. I would look for other indicators of improvement because this might be a little bit longer process for you to see the changes that you want, simply because what you're dealing with this extreme, maybe insulin-resistant problem. So that's probably why you're not even showing signs in your clothes yet, because the muscle actually is healing. Now, it's awesome that you're doing the intermittent fasting. I think you said a 7-hour window. I think what you need to do now is 2 things to focus on. One is if your urine is that concentrated, that tells me that you're probably releasing the ketones, and so you're starting this process, but you need to really beef up the vegetables to the point of, so it's counter some of the fat that's coming out of your body, or the ketones, just to flush that out. So that's one thing. Number two, I would start inching your eating window from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, because those people that have a very stuck metabolism honestly need to do 1 meal per day. That's the ideal scene. So just because what we're dealing with is like cement, I mean, it just is not budging. So keep pushing the meals together to the point where it's 4 hours and then 2 hours and then 1 hour you're eating for that 1 hour a day. I promise when you get to that level, you're going to start finally seeing a lot more changes because the body just has to heal. And what you're up against is duration of time and how chronic the problem is. All right? Thanks, Susan. Okay, Adi, do we have any questions in social media coming through the pike?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
First of all, there are a lot of greetings from around the world. We have Germany, India, Canada, Atlanta. They're all saying hello to you.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes. So on YouTube, Nava is asking, what can you do about bad breath on keto?
Okay, the bad breath is really too much protein. So what we have to do is limit the amount of protein that you're consuming. Maybe if you're doing 6 ounces, which each meal do 3 ounces. That should totally handle it. And then let's say for a small, let's say that doesn't handle it, then you want to also add more vegetables and chlorophyll. Maybe even like the wheatgrass juice powder. That's kind of a purifier to help clean out the system. But yeah, this is a short-term, it's a temporary thing, and that should improve, but cut down your protein. Okay, do we have another question?
Yes, we do. We have Dana on Facebook from Tennessee, and she's asking, what can you do when you don't have gallbladder?
Well, what you can do is they have some spares at the hospital. If you go there, they have plastic ones that you can have reinserted, and then you can hook them up, and then you'll be fine. I'm being totally sarcastic. Now, what you have to do, if you don't have a gallbladder, now you have a tube that trickles the bile through this little tube to your small intestine. So that you're going to be compromised a little bit because you're not going to have the full capacity of the digestion of the fat-soluble vitamins. So I'm going to recommend considering getting a gallbladder formula that has the bile salts that you can then take after a meal, and that will supply what's missing so you can get the full 100% absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins so you don't end up with vitamin A deficiencies, vitamin E, D, and K deficiencies. Okay? And then also, there's a really cool little chart that you can get. This here is a little thing I put together in my spare time, which allows you to look at all the nutrients that our body needs and what foods are very high in those nutrients in the correct amounts, because at the end of the day, we need to satisfy the nutrient requirements. So if you want a copy of this, there's a link down below, click it, and you can get an instant download. All right? It's a really cool little reference because as you look at the foods, you may not be eating these foods in the right quantities and ending up with deficiencies. So health is really about getting all the nutrients from the food. So very cool download. Check it out. Okay, so Adi.
Yes.
We are going to ask our first question. I got 3 questions to ask everyone and see if they can get this right this time. Not that they didn't get it right last time, but okay, so here's the first question, Adi. What is the food that has the highest vitamin C? Not an herb, but an actual food. What has the highest vitamin C of all the foods? Type in your answer now, and then after this question that I ask, we'll see if they get it right. Okay? All right, good. Now we're going to go to Josephina from New York. You had a question. You're not sleeping that well.
Good morning, Dr.
Good
Berg.
morning.
I am, since I started doing the keto diet about a year ago,
Yeah?
my sleep I'm not doing well with my sleep.
You're not
I'm very
sleeping.
happy with my weight loss.
Okay.
And I have another question. With the intermittent fasting, I have read a lot that they don't recommend doing it every day for women, and I have been doing it every day as you suggested, and I have been very successful. But I would like to know what is your the thought on what they're saying that we shouldn't do it every day because of hormonal issues.
Yeah, someday I'm going to find out who they are because they are kind of a generality. Sometimes you see this piece of information. There is so much data on the internet that's so conflicting, like you're going to be totally confused. So the main thing you have to realize is the source of who's telling you that, you know, especially if it's some site that's a news site, you're going to get, it's just random.com as far as information. You're just going to get these things, oh, your hormones. Well, really? Well, explain to me why you wouldn't want to do it every day. How would that hurt your hormones? Because your body, you're putting your body in fat burning. So why would that hurt your hormones? It just doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing. To evaluate someone that's not losing weight off of just one thing, it's hard. So I want to ask you some questions. Do you have any leg cramps, cramps in your calf if you point your toe?
No.
Okay, good. Do you have any digestive issues?
I used to have digestive issues, but since I started doing your programs, my main issue was diarrhea, but I don't have that anymore.
Oh, good.
I will say that I have a little constipation.
Okay.
But when I eat the right amount of vegetables that you suggest, there's no constipation.
Awesome. Okay, so then what about, do you have any other body issues like inflammation, fatigue, anything else?
What I can think about is in the afternoon, I tend to get moody.
Okay.
Or angry, like because I'm not eating any carbohydrate at all.
And then do you crave any sweets?
I do. I do, but I'm very disciplined, but I do crave sweets.
So thank you. You just gave me the biggest clue that I wanted, okay? So if you're craving sweets and you've been doing this for a year, there's something not right because the cravings should have went away. That means you're not fully into keto or fat burning. You're not running your body on fat. That's probably why you're not seeing the change. Probably the sleep is not helping, but your cravings should have went away right now. So what I would do, you may have the book, you may not, you may be consistent with it, you may not, I don't know, but I would go back, find out if you're doing everything correctly, make sure you're doing the consistent vegetables and the protein and the fat, and then plug in the basics hardcore, because one of the things about this program is when you do it partially, it really just won't work at all. Because the reason why you're getting moody in the middle of the day is because you're experiencing the symptoms of hypoglycemia, which means you're still running on the sugars, which could be why you're not sleeping too. So to get you into the ketones, which is a completely different fuel source, you don't have to do the highs and lows. So your mood will be very, very high. So that's a really big clue. So there's something you're not doing that you should do, and I don't know what that is, but I would find out through the book, because you may have most of the answers, but not the whole picture. So that's what I would say. As far as the sleep goes, there is an awesome sleep aid that you could take to help you sleep that I use too. But the last thing I want to tell you is that when you do keto intermittent fasting, the fuel source is double the energy, more than double the energy of glucose. So what happens is like, it's going to give you more energy. And the problem is like, you're not going to have you won't require the same amount of sleep as you will when you're actually running on glucose, or as you were, because glucose requires just a little bit more sleep. So you might have to add exercise in there. You might to get this energy out because you're generating more energy. So, but before you even go there, I would actually get the basics in, because I think you got to do this until the cravings go away, and then we know it's going to work. All right, thanks, Josephine. Okay, Dominica, you're from Texas. You had a question about your daily food intake.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Thank you for all you do, first of all. We're very blessed to have you share all this stuff with us. But my question is, I've been doing this for 3 weeks, almost a little bit, maybe a little bit more, but I am not losing weight. So I'm thinking that I'm doing everything wrong, and I'm not sure I don't know if you can give me like a basic 3-meal, 2-meal plan, including the fats in it. And my other question was, can you have decaf coffee more than 1 cup?
Got it. Okay,
if you have decaf.
Good question.
And then what do you do when you cannot eat any earlier than 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and then have like, you don't eat breakfast until probably 11, 12.
Got
Does
it.
that still work, or are you doing something wrong?
Now, Dominica, there's a 2-question maximum. So you went to 3, so I'm going to have to.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I have a question. Are you hungry in the morning when you wake up?
No, not at all.
Okay, when's your first meal?
I have 3 eggs, and I have about 3.5 cups of spinach that I
What
fixed
time?
up with oil
When?
and garlic.
When? What time?
About 11:30, 12.
Okay. Are you hungry at the time?
No.
Okay, but you're still eating.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing that you want to do is don't eat if you're not hungry. Because you want to push that until 11 or 2, or go as long as you can and then eat when you're actually hungry. Because you're eating when you're not hungry. So you're just basically...
But then with the fasting, I mean, you can't fast the way you're saying that we're supposed to do.
Well, you're fasting if you're not eating. So all night long you're fasting, in the morning you're fasting, and then all of a sudden you eat, you stop the fasting. So
Okay.
if you're not hungry going into 11 o'clock or 12, ride the wave, go further, because as soon as you eat, you spike insulin, now you're going to be hungry an hour later. So that's one thing. Number 2, is your stomach shrinking a little bit? Is your clothes shrinking in your stomach a little bit yet?
Well, my stomach is shrinking a little bit, yes, but it's not moving anymore. I mean, it shrunk a little bit, and that was it.
Okay. So after this meal at 11:30 or 12, when's your next meal?
Mm-hmm. I don't eat until about 4, something like that.
Okay. Are you hungry at 4?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. And then do you have any snacks in the middle of there or at night?
No snacks at all.
Okay. Good. And are you eating enough? Are you eating like the pattern of the vegetables and some protein and a little fat?
Yes, I'm eating vegetables. I'm eating like a little bit of protein, like 3-4 ounces of protein.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still not understanding how you incorporate the fats in your diet. Okay,
good. And then the last question I have is, how old are you?
I am 56.
Okay. So when you're dealing, and most of the clients that I'm working with are in their 50s or 60s, so this fits exactly, because it's, you hear these people that, oh, I did keto for a week and I dropped 20 pounds, and like, why can't I do that, right? Well, the fact that you did get some shrinkage in your clothes means it's starting to work, but you just need to tweak it. And you have to realize that your body is probably going to have to build more protein, which weighs more, as it's losing fat. So you're going to that's why you can't go by weight loss. Watch my video on weight loss. Weight loss is the worst indicator for success because it doesn't include the protein additions, which is heavy. So because when you do intermittent fasting, you start gaining more muscle mass, and that could throw everything off. But here's the thing, don't eat until you're hungry. Go as long as you can, okay, and then have your first meal. Now, if it's at 2 o'clock, great. And then eat at 4. That would be awesome, because then you have this really short window. You can go, the key is getting a lot of fasting between there, and you'll actually start seeing some better changes. Now, you asked a good question. When you're not eating, your body is eating your own fat. So if you add too much fat, that could slow things down a little bit, especially if you're going through menopause. So I wouldn't necessarily add any additional fat that's not already in there within the proteins that you're eating. So let's say you have a hamburger, well, there's fat in there. Let's say you have some nuts, there's fat in there. Avocado, there's fat in there. So don't add more. You can add some oil on your salad dressing, and then let's say you're having a hard time fasting, well, then add a little more fat gradually. So it's kind of a variable, and I did a video on this that you're going to have to judge, and everyone is so different. Some people you have to do a lot of fat, other people they can't tolerate a lot. So if you're not losing weight, you want to cut down the fat. All right? Excellent question, and thank you for calling. All right, Adi, what do we have coming in through some of the social media channels here?
All right, so for your question, we have people saying kale, bell pepper, papaya, sauerkraut, orange, parsley, lemon.
Wow, those are some good Guesses. Hey, can we have the drum roll, please? Okay, and the answer is sauerkraut. Okay, so whoever said that is totally right. Sauerkraut has 750 milligrams of vitamin C per cup. I mean, all these other foods have like less than 100, but we only need like 70 per day milligrams, but 700. So get out the sauerkraut, start chomping that down there, and then watch what happens to your vitamin C is good for bleeding gums, it's good for collagen, it's good for energy, it's good for the immune system. Okay? That was a really, whoever guessed it right was probably saw my video on that. Okay. Hey guys, if you don't have this document, download it. It'll allow you to see all the requirements that you need nutritionally and what foods you need to focus on. There's a link below, you can check it out. It's a good reference, and you can just keep it for future reference. Okay? So do we have a quick question?
Yes. Another greetings from around the world. We have New Zealand, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan.
Awesome.
They're all saying hi to you again.
That's awesome.
All right. So on YouTube, we have Erica asking, should you soak seeds and nuts before you consume them?
Should you soak your seeds and nuts?
Yes.
That's the ideal scene. Excuse me. Because when you have seeds and nuts, they come with enzyme inhibitors, which basically block digestion. So if you can soak them overnight in water, drain it out, dry them out, either in a dehydrator, I know it's a pain in the butt, or the oven under low temperatures, you will get a high quality product that won't nearly interfere with your digestive system like raw nuts do. So I recommend that if you can do that. Yes. So that would answer that question. Good. Do we have another one?
Yes, we do. We have Toby from Facebook asking, is keto healthy for women?
No, just for men. Okay, do we have any other questions? No. It's healthy if you actually have a body. It's healthy for your animals. It's like if you think about what the opposite of keto is, it's running your body on glucose, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like the most unhealthy thing on the planet because you're susceptible to all the problems with glucose. And since you brought that up, Adi, I'm going to have to talk about that for a second. Because when the sugars go higher, okay, what happens is it destroys the tiny little blood vessels of the eye that go to the retina. So you start getting blurred vision. So if you're starting to notice that your vision is not that great, could be that. Also, cloudiness on the lens, that's called cataract. Also, pressure in the eye, that's called glaucoma. And then you have the little tiny center of the back part of the eye called the macula, you get macular degeneration. And then also the high sugar starts interfering with the little lining in the arteries and you start getting little holes where it's starting to bleed. And then the immune system comes in, then you just get a plaquing and then the artery starts getting clogged and then you get a clot that dislodges, goes to the brain, you get a stroke or a heart attack depending on where that clot's going. So that's kind of where people are going if they're living on sugars and they're having high sugar. Other than that, they'll be totally fine. Not to mention, I forgot to talk about the brain. You actually starve the brain of oxygen, you kill off the neurons, kill off the nerves on the toes and the fingers. You do get some gangrene, but they can just, remove that limb and then you'll be good to go. So the alternative is running your body on ketones, which is much healthier. So you can actually regrow your brain, get new brain cells. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Better mood, better energy, increased longevity, better heart, reversing heart damage, and avoiding cancer. Not too bad. All right, so we're going to go to Derek. He's been waiting. You're from Queens, New York. You had a question about bone structure. Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Hi, good.
I actually I read your book for the second time, and you were absolutely right. It is you really notice so many more things, and it's just a terrific book. I
Awesome.
give it as a gift to people on their birthday, because that's probably the best gift I could really give them.
Awesome, thank you.
And hopefully they definitely read it.
Awesome, thanks.
Dr. Berg, I've been calling you. You've been helping me tremendously. You've been helping me for months. I call basically every week, and now my situation is all my digestive gallbladder issues and everything. I drank high pH water, as I told you, and it led to leaky gut, and from there just problem after problem. And now I got some X-rays back that basically say, I guess they're saying I probably have psoriatic arthritis, and I have. Let me just read this small sentence for you. It says appearance of periarticular osteopenic changes, most notably around the MCP and PIP joints, which could reflect degree of joint inflammation, hyperemia, or synovitis. Otherwise preserved joint spaces and no joint margin erosion at this time.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about that. And it's funny you said that because I actually read my book again a second time because I actually did these videos down there. And I was actually amazed that I had a lot of great information in there. I was like, wow. I mean, I was just impressed at how much data is crammed into there. There's no fluff. I'm like, every sentence I wanted to make sure that it gave people the exact thing they need to know. Okay, so here's what you need to do. You're getting problems with inflammation in the distal joints and the actual other joints of the hand and the fingers. So there's a couple things that you want to do. You're probably on the right track because you're doing intermittent fasting, which is going to help recycle proteins and damaged parts, drop inflammation, and clean up a lot of old microbes in the body. But in the meantime, a lot of these, like psoriatic arthritis, is a combination of a couple things. One is there's a underlying microbial kind of infection going on in the body. So I would take oregano oil tablets, grapefruit seed extract tablets, and thyme oil tablets, those three. That will actually slowly kind of clean up any deep microbes that are growing in the body, whether it's a nanobacteria, a small one, or a virus or a microbe. It kind of it helps with those things. And then the other thing that you want to do is take K2 to help kind of remodel the osteophytes that are, or the little bone spurs things that are going on in the joints. I think that's what I would do with some D3. I think that would help you. But thanks for calling. I think probably you might have a problem with K2 because you didn't have enough bile in the past because of the gallbladder, but I think that should improve with time. And if you can get to 1 meal a day, I think you'll be doing better and better over time. Thanks, Derek. I'll talk to you next week. Okay, so we have Azima is calling from Canada, British Columbia. You had a question about macular degeneration, right?
I do. First of all, I just want to tell you that I am thrilled to be talking to you. I'm really excited.
Oh, awesome.
I think that you're.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, you're great. I have a background in kinesiology and I've had to do lots of nutrition stuff, and
awesome.
So I just really appreciate the way that you explain things and the thoroughness, and I really love your program. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my question. I do have macular degeneration. I've had it for about 12 years, and in the last couple of months it's been getting worse, which is totally freaking me out. My mom died of cancer, and she said, macular degeneration is way worse than cancer. So my vision is getting worse, particularly in one eye. And so I've started taking fish or salmon liver oil and cod liver oil, and Vitalux is a supplement also that my ophthalmologist has suggested. Mm-hmm. And I'm not bad with cruciferous vegetables. I do fairly well with the 7 cups of vegetables a day. I don't have a gallbladder. I take your gallbladder formula, and I have transverse myelitis on top of all this other stuff, which is an inflammatory autoimmune disease. So my question is, with intermittent fasting, well, first of all, I'm not positive about whether I need to be taking these supplements with food or not, and is there some food that is okay to do with intermittent fasting that won't disturb that? That's question number 1. Should I stop there and let you answer that one?
Yeah. Okay, good. So
okay.
I'm going to, because there's quite a few calls, I'm just going to focus on this because I think this is going to be really important. There's things that are like really important, and there's things that are trivial. I'm just going to talk about the important things. To prevent macular degeneration, you want to keep your sugars low. Okay, you want to keep your sugars low. So obviously, it probably started the whole process by having insulin resistance, high sugar, high insulin, and that attacks this micro vessels of the back of the eye, the retina, and the macula, which is the little central part of the retina, which is the extension of your brain. So it's kind of like neurological tissue that's affected. So there's probably a little edema in there, some degeneration. So, you know, what protects the parts of the body from the high sugar are like vitamin B1, the minerals, and phytonutrients. So now you're at the stage where you want to kind of reverse some of that. And you're correct. You're taking the cruciferous. You're taking, hopefully, the kale shake. I would do a kale shake every single day. But here's the problem. The key nutrient in kale that you need is the carotenoids. That's the phytonutrient. And the carotenoids are fat soluble. The fact that you don't have a gallbladder means that you're probably not able to extract those carotenoids like someone else. So you don't get the benefit of the kale. So what you need to do is, when you consume the kale shake, put a little bit of coconut oil in there, drink this down, take the gallbladder formula with it at the same time. That way we can add the bile salts in there and the kale and the fat, and that will actually help increase the solubility of the fat-soluble carotenoids that'll go into the eye, and I think that will be the biggest thing that will help you. You want to do intermittent fasting hardcore, you want to do keto hardcore to drop that insulin. And by the way, before someone can actually have high sugar, they first have high insulin, but the doctors never test that. So the first stage of even this whole chain of events is high insulin and a bunch of symptoms, but normal blood sugar. So then what happens over time, the blood sugars start going up. So as soon as the blood sugars go up, it means that you've already had prediabetes for a long time. So that's just a side note. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is kind of reverse all this stuff. But macular degeneration is probably almost 100% caused by high sugar. Thanks for your question. Okay, we're going to go to Adi for a question on social media.
Alrighty, on YouTube, Daniel is asking, can you do keto if you're a vegetarian?
Yeah, you can. It's a little more difficult because it's hard to find the high fat, low carb thing. That's what's going to be hard, but you can still do it. I am going to be creating some recipes on the website for you to do that, and then some additional data. We're working on that. It's just I've been focusing on so many other things. So, but yeah, so that's you could totally do it, and I highly suggest that you do it. Yeah, good. Any other questions?
Yes. Again, on YouTube, Emma is asking, what is MCT oil?
MCT is a type of oil. It's a medium chain triglyceride, which probably doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a type of fat that gives you energy and it helps fat burning. And it's very gentle on the liver, and it's extracted from coconuts, okay, mainly. I think you can also get it from palm oil. But so that's the type of fat that can actually improve ketosis. And yeah, it doesn't convert to fat in your body. Okay? Okay, so now, again, if you did not download this thing, download it now. There's a link down below. It's pretty cool. And it gives you like exactly the foods that are highest in the nutrient and then the quantity, because I think you're going to be surprised how much of a certain food that you need to reach your minimal requirements for your nutrients. And this is for a healthy body, not even talking about an unhealthy body. All right, so guess what? We're going to go to the next question right here for everyone. Adi, we're going to ask them this question. What has more vitamin A? 7 cups of kale or 1 egg yolk? Go ahead and type your answers down below. What has more vitamin A? Okay? See if people can get that one.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go to Alex from California. Go ahead. You had a question.
Hi, good morning, doctor. Yes, I have a question. Well, I have several things going on with my body. I'm a diabetic. My BMR is at 30%. But I recently got the thyroid hyper, and I'm losing a lot of hair, so I want to start to fix those things. And I don't know where to start. I don't know. And I have gallstones. I don't know if I can do the keto diet with that.
I got it. So you have a hyperthyroid.
Yes.
It would have been a lot easier if you had a hypo. So this is a little...
They told me that it might be caused by my pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
I had a baby 3 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if these issues are like up
Yeah.
and down.
Because one of the causes of gallstones is high estrogen. So I think for you, you definitely need to do the keto and intermittent fasting for sure. There's no doubt. There's not going to be a problem. You just can't take the gallbladder formula with the purified bile salts because that will increase the conversion of thyroid and you'll have more hyper. And you don't want to take trace minerals or iodine. That being said, you definitely want to start consuming the cruciferous vegetables to help balance your estrogen. Cruciferous vegetables help lower the bad estrogen and increase the good. So they help regulate the ratios. They don't like give you more estrogen. Even though they're a phytoestrogen, it doesn't mean that you're raising your estrogen levels. You're taking what you already have and balancing them. But going through birth, or actually giving birth, you're going to actually create a problem with high levels of estrogen, and that probably causes the gallstones. So I would consume the cruciferous, do keto intermittent fasting, and then see if you can't normalize the thyroid. And then once it's normalized, then add the purified bile salts to help dissolve the stones. But in the meantime, by doing keto and intermittent fasting, you'll naturally actually help concentrate your bile, and your stones may just disappear. Okay? Thank you for your question. All right, now we're going to go to Minnesota. It's Ngia. If I've just chopped, I actually made chopped liver out of your name, but you're from Stillwater, Minnesota. Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Sorry, I know my name is difficult to pronounce. My name is Anjaneya.
Oh, Anjaneya. Okay.
On behalf of,
I'm going to call you Anjay
can call
for
me
short.
Anj.
Okay.
Yeah, Anj Oliver.
Okay, good. So you're
Okay,
from
so
you're
I'm
from
talking
the
on-
land of 10,000 mosquitoes. Go ahead. You had a question.
Oh yeah. It is. Okay, I'm talking on behalf of my wife, and she started following you and doing the keto diet. So before that, she was having a lot of burps getting, and then we went to doctor. Doctor told us you got a gallbladder stone, and they advised us to take the gallbladder out. But my wife need to know, or we wanted to know. So is there any alternate solution before taking the gallbladder out to control her burps?
Good question. Okay, good. So let's just talk about the gallbladder. It would be nice to keep your organs. I'm always for keeping your organs than taking them out. So this is just food for thought, information to research. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm not your doctor. But here's some data on the gallbladder. Gallstones come from a lack of bile, B-I-L-E. By doing intermittent fasting, you will actually increase the concentration of your bile. So that's a good thing, which will actually help dissolve stones over time. What also triggers bile is saturated fats. Well, guess what you're going to be doing on the keto? You're going to increase your saturated fats. But I'm sure you heard that eating fats are bad, right? Well, only if you're eating carbs with it. If you're eating saturated fats without the carbs, it's totally healthy. It's not a problem. It's the carbs that are causing the gallstones, the sugar, the refined carbohydrates in the form of breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, sodas, juice, alcohol, and Mad Dog 2020, which I'm sure she's not drinking. But the point is that pain that she's going on the right side on the chest is coming from probably a congested gallbladder. If she does this and consumes a lot of vegetables, I think that will be the best thing for her, and she may not need to take that thing out. But I would definitely also recommend gallbladder formula that has the purified bile salts take after the meal so you can actually help take the pressure off that area of your body. Okay? All right, so Adi, what do we have as an answer for the question, what has more vitamin A, 7 cups of kale or 1 egg yolk? What are people saying?
A lot of people are saying egg yolk.
How do you guys know this? You're so smart. Okay, so yes, but thanks, a little delayed, but yes, egg yolk. The egg yolk has active form of retinol, which is active vitamin A. All the vegetable types of vitamin A, especially kale, is a pre-vitamin A that you have to convert. So there's no active form of vitamin A in kale. There's all pre. And there's actually a lot of pre. There's like 30,000 international units of pre-vitamin A in 1 cup of kale, which then has to convert, but you only convert a small percentage. Now, the benefit of kale comes in a lot of other ways, but the point is that egg yolks are one of the best sources of vitamin A. Okay? Wow, I guessed that right. Okay, so do we have any questions coming on social media?
We do. So Facebook, CJ is asking, what causes keto rash?
Keto rash is a misnomer. It should be named intermittent fasting rash, because what happens when you don't eat and you fast, it puts in your body in this interesting survival mechanism. It's called autophagy, where your body now recycles old, damaged, junky proteins. But it also helps to dismantle and clean up all the microbes, pathogens like fungus, mold, bacteria, virus, yeast, and candida. And so it cleans up all this stuff out of the system through the little garbage disposal. Your cells, Adi, have mini self-cleaning ovens, and they just clean all this garbage out, and then they spit them out for a into new little parts, so your body can then build new tissue. It's called remodeling. So you have like a repair center that in a construction unit in your cells that start building new kitchens and new furniture and things like that. But if your system is sluggish, it can create immune reactions to the point where it can create a rash in the skin. So there's a couple things you can do, because it's a histamine reaction which causes that from the immune thing. So what you want to do is take bentonite clay on an empty stomach, just a little bit, and that should actually help clear it up. But that's really what keto rash is, okay?
Okay.
We're going to call it intermittent fasting rash. Good, so let's see, do we have any other questions?
Yes, we do. Again, on Facebook, we have Khalid asking, if you have high cholesterol, can you still do the keto diet?
Well, you need to do keto, especially if you have high cholesterol, because it's going to lower cholesterol, because what causes high cholesterol is high amounts of insulin and sugar. So what happens, what people don't know is that your body makes cholesterol, and so the more you eat, the less it has to make. And Adi, do you know how much cholesterol the body actually makes?
I don't.
A lot. Like 3,000 milligrams per day. That's equivalent to 300 strips of bacon, or 14 eggs, or a pound of butter.
Wow.
That's how much cholesterol our body makes. So why is it so bad if our body makes it? So we need it. So to lower cholesterol, all you need to do is lower the carbohydrates. And guess what the ketogenic diet is? It's a low carbohydrate diet. It'll drop it. Good question. Good. Do you have another question?
Yes, we have Ty on YouTube asking about omega-7 and can it help with insulin?
There are a lot of different omega fatty acids, and omega-7s are really, really good for immune reactions, immune system building. So they actually are kind of protect you against certain inflammatory conditions, immune disorders, definitely autoimmune disorders like lupus and things like that. And you can get this as a supplement, but naturally these omega-7s are in the same family as omega-3s as well if you consume those foods. So you don't necessarily have to always just take it as a supplement. Good question. Next question.
Alrighty. We have on Facebook, we have Laura from Canada, and she's asking, if you do the Bulletproof coffee and stevia, can that break your fast?
You know, it's interesting. I just did a study on coffee, and I was surprised to find that when you drink coffee, your ketones go up, as long as you don't put the sugar in it. But I'm going to do a more of an official study to see if you actually add the Bulletproof. But some of the people that were doing Bulletproof, their ketones went up because they had MCT oil in it. So, but I also found that my sugars went up a little bit too, even though my ketones went up. So I'm going to tell you, they probably will not break your fast. That's my answer right now, and I might change it down the road, but right now that's my answer. All right, so let's go to Colleen from Alberta, Canada. Go ahead, you had a question.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, yeah, I've got a heck of a lot of snow blowing across the road.
Oh, I could imagine.
Oh, so my issues are many and varied, so I can't cover them all, but I did your quiz, and I need so much stuff. I did order before I did your quiz, the wheatgrass, and I can't remember what else is coming, but it should be coming within a couple days. So I am on Synthroid. The last time my level was checked, it was normal. I am on valproic acid for bipolar mood disorder. I'm more on the depressed side, and Valium for sleeping. So will the drugs affect ketosis? I have been attempting to follow the keto and the IT.
Okay, good. Well, first I want to say that I did take a trip in college through Alberta, and a friend and I, we found this guy who sold these beer signs and beverage mirrors, and we bought a bunch of them. We were going to go to Canada, sell them out of the back of his truck. It was a crazy idea. And so we ended up not really selling any of them, so that was a disaster. But I got a chance to see Canada, and it's gorgeous. Lake Louise and Banff, it's just gorgeous. I just have some great memories of that. But I was in charge of bringing the tent, and the first night we went up there, I got the tent out, and I realized I bought a pup tent for kids, not an adult tent. So we both tried to sleep in this tent and only covered half of our body, and so we started laughing for probably 3 hours. It was just hysterical. But anyway, getting back to your question, bipolar and depression is totally a blood sugar issue. It's insulin resistance, because the way that you're running your brain on glucose, it can definitely drop your mood, because it creates eventually a hypoglycemic reaction in the cells. So the combination of fixing that will bring up your mood so much, so much it's going to blow you away. In addition to fixing insulin resistance, you'll be able to pull more amino acids into the cell. You'll make more neurotransmitters, which will then increase your serotonin and your dopamine, which is also then going to increase your mood. So I think that is your ultimate solution. Now the question is, will the medication interfere with keto? Well, here's the thing. It's going to basically cut to the core of it, so the need for that will be a lot less. So maybe just work with your doctor on that. But make sure you take a lot of B vitamins, and you're probably already getting them in the mail, and the electrolytes. I think you're in for a really nice treat. So I hope you call back in about 3 weeks from now and tell us your results, because it's going to definitely bring up your mood, your health, your energy. I'm excited to hear the results. Okay, so now we're going to go to Susan from Utah. You had a question about keto diet and a couple other questions you had. I'll just let you ask them.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm 60 years old, and I wrote a list down here so we can go through it quickly. And I'm the adrenal body type. I've been 5 months on your keto. I love watching your videos and stuff because they've helped me so much stay on it. I have not cheated at all.
Wow. I
do 2 meals a day with intermittent fasting, 16 to 20 hours a day. I've only lost 13 pounds, so that's a little frustrating for me. I have thyroid issues. I'm on 200 mcg of Synthroid, and I'm still always cold, tired, low energy. You asked Susan from Florida if she could get up and sit down, and I was really hoping she couldn't, because I haven't been able to do that for 4 years. It's painful to walk upstairs, and when I sit down, I have to use my hands, my arms, to push myself up or get help. For the last 6 months now, I started keto 5 months ago, so a month before I started keto, I started getting leg cramps and charley horses waking me up at night. I went 6 weeks with 3 hours of sleep a night because of the intense charley horses. They were waking me up several times, I'd have several at a time, and as I'm trying to stretch out one, another one would happen in the muscle that was trying to stretch, and I can't contract or expand my muscles at night because the charley horses happen, and so like from my waist down, my legs feel like lead. They're dead when I get out of bed, and I have to, after I walk around a bit, then they start to feel better.
Are you taking my electrolytes?
I'm not taking electrolytes. I'm taking the potassium. I've used the gallbladder formula. I take the D and K2, your sleep aid, your wheatgrass juice, your potassium. I take magnesium and calcium lactate. I take fish oil. I can take Cataplex B. I take selenium.
Wow, you're taking a lot.
I'm taking so much stuff. I'm getting tired of it,
Yeah. Okay.
We have diabetes rampant in my family. And so I've actually stayed away from breads for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So with doing this diet, I think I was probably close to pre-diabetic, but with doing this diet, I had blood labs taken about a month and a half ago. My blood sugars are perfect. I mean, they're great. My potassium is perfect, but I'm just not sleeping because I'm in so much pain with my legs all the time.
Okay, so let me
and like I said, I can't.
Okay,
go for it.
Okay, good. So let me just tell you, stingy nettle root is a really good herb. I would start on that. That's a great anti-inflammatory. I don't want to overload you with more nutrients, but the thing that just stands out even more than that is the electrolyte powder that I have, because you're describing a severe electrolyte deficiency, because potassium is the thing that is probably needed so much to flood the cells to help them relax so you can sleep. And I know they did a test and they said it's normal, but you have to realize only 2% of all the potassium is in the blood. So unless they check it on the inside of the cell, it's not going to show up. So what you want to do is you want to take the electrolytes and probably double the dosage and take that over a period of time. That will help you, but the original reason why you had the inflammation is because of the insulin. So we need that. Start going to intermittent fasting maybe once a day, because that's going to drop inflammation even better. So we have inflammation will be dropped, your muscles start working with electrolyte powder, and then call us back. I think you should do really well if you just give it a little more time and add those two things in there. All right, guys, thank you for your attention, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.